Have that as an actor, and people often ask me, and that's the one question I don't really have answers for, is, what roles do you really, really want to play? There are jobs that I've been up for that I've wanted to do, but not as a long-term ambition, no, not at all. And I think I came towards it very flattered that they were considering, very, very seriously considering me, and read it with great interest. But before I opened the page, I did think, do I really want to play Sherlock Holmes? What is it about Sherlock Holmes that I'd enjoy? And then I started thinking about it. Oh yeah, no, I would. This could be great. And then the modernisation, I thought, well, that could be slightly cheesy. It could be something that's slightly shoehorned in, that's not belonging to the Holmes of old. That would just be a reason for having a new detective. And I didn't know Stephen and I didn't know Mark, so I shouldn't have thought that. But I didn't really know them at all at that point. Anyway, excuse me, I've been eating notes too fast. I then read the script and completely fell in love with it. I just thought that, well, this is genius, and it's so funny and fast, and it makes so much sense the way they've reinvigorated it and put it in a modern context. He's always been a modern man. He was a modern man in Victorian times. He's now a modern man in a post CSI Miami, whatever, so the CSI ones, and post loads of Sherlock Holmes influenced detectives. They all are really, to one extent or the other, even if it's Poirot's presentation or Agatha Christie's sort of Agatha Christie Marple's way to sort of sneak into a room unnoticed and just be part of the background as a little old lady observing, or whether it's the more up-to-date ones of Bluth, The House. These are all mavericks. They all have personal problems or some kind of obsessional or obsession-derived personality disorder, whether it's a drink or drug problem or dysfunctional relationships. Nobody's perfect. So yeah, exactly.
So is it psychopath or sociopath, do you think of it?
I think definitely sociopath. I think that Anderson's definitely got it wrong. Psychopath is just way off the mark,
It sounds like you've done, like your TV detectives and your fictional detectives. You've obviously rattled off a long list there. Is that something that was because of research for this, or is that something that you were a fan of previously?
I think I was aware of what we're just talking about initially. The answer to that question was about how I felt or thought, why did I always want to do this? So I think I've always been aware of detectives. I'm not as geeky as those guys, and I'm very bad at following series. And I do. How could you be? How could you be? They are. Well, thank God they are, because it leads us to do less work. No, I'm joking. That I had to catch up. And it was quite a task. And when I did, I was like, I'm full of even more respect than I was before. So, it's in answer to your question, I of course I've got an eye on that, and I think it's very important too if you're an actor taking on an iconic role in a modern setting and in a culture where there are umpteen detectives, whether it's the depressive Swede, whether it's the angry, beautiful man that Idris Elba played, or whether it's whoever the characterization is, whatever the influences are, whatever the angle is, you've got to know that what you're doing is going to be something new. And so it's pretty dangerous when you say yes to doing Sherlock Holmes, but not when it's in the capable hands of
So what
of Mark
marks
and
him out
Stephen.
then for a modern audience against those examples?
Well, I think the fact that he does have a near to supernatural but actually achievable ability to tie the amazing amount of detail into some kind of narrative in a crime scene, that he uses his sensual perception and intuition, which is a massive database of knowledge in his mind, his hard drive. He can scan a situation. He can, through touch, taste, sight, smell, and an incredible amount of preordained knowledge, not ordained, but previously acquired knowledge. He can assimilate that into a narrative, a plot, the who, what, why, and it's usually on the Occam's razor side of, once you've disposed of all the least obvious solutions, it's probably the most obvious one, and it's just that kind of thing of simple thinking, and yet incredibly fast. And he's adept with technology, so that's the modern twist, I guess, is that he's a man who can handle a PDA or a BlackBerry in this instance, and a laptop, but he's not going to fuck around looking on websites that aren't to do with him or crime or no, not at all, because
he's got this technology. He's got
but the original Sherlock Holmes was at the cutting edge of science. He was investigating and experimenting with forensics. He did very probably boring monographs on cigarette ash and cigar ash. He was experimenting with plaster of Paris casts in the first book, studying scarlet, for footprint analysis. And so the idea that this man, and he is obsessed with it, you see him experimenting, he's got the eyeballs in the microwave, he's got, there's always stuff going on in that flat, if it's green paint, then it's the brother that did it, or the ladder, there's always he's always investigating science and trying to justify. It's a theory is something that has been thought of, but also tested and tried and placeboed and analysed and peer reviewed. He doesn't go as far as peer reviewage, but he does justify his leaps of assumption. He has to.
So, some actors have become really, like Jeremy Brett, the character almost took over with him. If you sort of read biographies and stuff about him.
Well, I think Jeremy was a manic depressive before he played Holmes, so I think that's a psychosomatic kind of bleed, which I don't think Holmes turned him into a manic depressive. So I'm not at all afraid of becoming a manic depressive.
Can you see something in the character, that sort of a darkness that is
absolutely
sort of dangerous for
Well, I think he's an obsessive, and I think I can be obsessive. I think we all can about certain things, and
in what way are you obsessive? What sort of?
Very telling, This is about Holmes. This isn't about me. No, all right. Well, one obsession I probably have.
ICD.
Well, yeah, no. I've not got that. I'm quite boring on that front. There's no sort of headline obsessions I have. I guess work at the moment. I should be on holiday by all rights, by all human sort of tests of limits. I should be on holiday, but so I'm obsessed with work at the moment. A bit of a workaholic. But not to the extent that he is. I'm not asexual, and I'm not. I'm not veering on wanting to achieve everything at the expense of other people around me. I'm certainly not standing on dying men's shoulders asking me who is the man who won't let me have the job. So it's kind of, it's all stuff. It's all healthy stuff to play and get out of your system, but it's not stuff I'd want to take with me into my real life.
Isn't it, for next time?
To stand on the dying man's bleeding shoulder, you're absolutely right.
That's
It's always handy to learn from your work.
But would you like to take over your career? Would you like to be doing this in 10 years?
No. I think I'd like to maybe come back to it in 10 years, but I wouldn't like it to be known just as Sherlock Holmes. And I think I've done enough for now, but of course this could be the biggest splash. Who knows? I mean, Martin Freeman. The Office is Martin Freeman. I mean, that drags around him like a fucking chain and ball, because brilliant though he is in it, he's so much more than Tim in The Office. Do you know what I mean? But this horrible cultural shorthand that everyone has. It's like even with Madonna. It's like Madonna, 40s, divorced from Guy Ritchie. You think, do we really fucking need this? Do we need to know that before? Can't you just say Madonna?
Yeah.
Judge her on everything from Like a Virgin to
what you're saying is in 20 years
director.
you wouldn't like to be judged only for Sherlock.
No, absolutely not. No, I'd like to have and I always have tried to have a variation in my career. So the mixture of sheer utter elation of getting the part was immediately mixed with the trepidation of taking on something that could.
Are you ever being typecast then for this?
I have been typecast.
Did you think about
of course,
being
I've been
typecast?
typecast. Oh, have I been typecast? I think good. If it's good casting, then hopefully yes. But who knows? I mean, as an actor, you always try to. I hope that what you really want. Well, I want to try and do. Actually, I can't speak for all acting, but I like the idea of the hat box. I like the idea of being mercurial and keeping people guessing of what I'm capable of, or what status I play, or what sexuality, or what age, or I just like. I'd like as wide a canvas to play with as possible. If I'm going to portray other people in my life, I might as well have fun playing as many different people as possible.
So how long have they got an option then for you to play this?
For the next series.
Only for the next series.
For now.
Yeah.
It's not to say I wouldn't do more. It's
On
definitely
the
not saying
subject of sort of being mercurial and the next thing you'll be doing.
Yeah.
I'm sort of changing roles. What is the next thing you're looking to do?
This afternoon, about 7:30 tonight, I will be looking to play a dying alcoholic in a play called After the Dance. A guy called David Scott Fowler, who's part of the Bright Young Mayfair set, who, some of them are till their 90s, drinking from morn till noon till night and morn again. But he's got cirrhosis of the liver and has this woman come into his life who changes his life. It's a brilliant Terence Raskin play. It's on at the National called After the Dance. So I'll be doing that this evening. And then tomorrow I will be getting on a horse in Steve Dent's stables near Harefield, near Watford, to practice playing Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Stewart in War Horse for Steven Spielberg, and I'm riding Top Thorn, so I'm practicing on a 17-hand monster.
How's the
Gorgeous.
The rehearsals and the build up for that going?
Well, I've been horse riding now for about a month and a half. Yeah, and I still don't feel ready for it, but I've got to lead 2 cavalry charges, so it's quite full on. Sort of 80 horses around and in front of me and all over the place. So might even be more than that. I'm just realising our microphone's reporting what I'm saying. It's so top secret, it's had to be delivered a script that I had to sign off. So it's just it's all. Anyway,
if you could meet Sherlock
it's known
Holmes,
that I'm doing it. It's known that it's happening. So if I can meet Sherlock Holmes, what will I
for
ask
real,
him?
what would you ask him? What would you?
how to begin. I think how to begin. Well, how he began. What started him. I mean, I just look like the guy that you've just watched. I'm not him, so it's an amazing ability he has, and I crave to have an inch of that. But I mean, if there was something I really need to, I'm sorry, I should come up with a witty, superfluous answer. But I mean, how can I get my next job? That would be it. How can I seduce someone in the room to get my next job? Something like that, because I'm a work obsessive.
What about the look? Sorry.
I don't know. I've never had any crime in my life that needs solving, so I'm quite lucky that way. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult
What about the look? Did you have any input on wardrobe, costume here? Because
yeah, I did.
Did you?
I did. Yeah. Well, Ray Holman, who now does the costume for Doctor Who, jumped ship. Bow tie and he's anybody's, but anyway, there we go. Yeah, whatever. But I'm not meaning to disparage, I'm giving Doctor Who, but anyway. So Ray and I we styled him to start off with, and then the brilliant, oh my god, I'm going to forget our costume designer's name. Costume girl. Not very Holmesian of me. Hold on 1 second. Her name is... It'll come back to me when I'm not concentrating on it. So basically, so the coats, the coat was a real find. Ray found the coat, but I wanted the detail of the red stitching on the lapel. A friend of mine is a magician, and he's just got this extraordinary jacket that he's sort of slightly uniquely tailored. And I know Paul Smith now sort of does it, and it's a mass market trade to, personalise suits with these kind of details. But there was something of my friend who's a magician and part of the magic circle and a bit of a brilliant magician that made me think, I quite like that, and I like the idea of it just flashing out against all this, the dark silhouette, and the suits. Spencer Hall, I mean, what can I say? He makes a cracking suit. It just fits me. Dolce & Gabbana shirts, Yves Saint Laurent shoes. He's a very well-heeled consulting detective.
This is the designer shirt.
It is designer, but the thing about it that was very vital for me was that he should be incredibly sharp, incredibly pragmatic. And it should be functional, but it should look fucking great as well. He's not somebody who slouches about, but he can whip a corpse in it as well as stand in front of a widow and
he doesn't have very much
pretend
money,
to be somebody who knew her husband.
He's not a man of means, or is he? Where does he get his means from in the modern world?
No, well, I think he's had good times and bad times. And I think he might have just charmed the tailor for the clothes he's wearing. That's all we need to know about that. It's not this. I don't think we needed to tell a story of growing wealth with his wardrobe. Not that I'm, it's going to stay much the same.
But otherwise,
exactly. He does need a cheap flat shirt, that's for sure. And I think it is because it's a variable income. He's freelance like an actor. Goes up, goes down.
Why is the time right for a new Sherlock Holmes? Because it's been a while since Jeremy Brett, and sort of his legacy has been huge, and a lot of people didn't dare.
I don't know. I think. Listen, the rumour mills are very strange, dark, dusty, obscure. How many other disparaging things I said? But they're murky places. But I heard that Harvey Weinstein's people heard about this. And then that was the beginning of the idea of doing a Sherlock Holmes film, or the Warner Brothers people, whoever was behind the Guy Ritchie franchise. Who knows? Who knows? Who the fuck knows? But the point is, whatever it is, whichever egg or chicken came first, it's just, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Downey Jr. and he's always enigmatic and charismatic and brilliant and watchable. Not necessarily my Holmes, but he ticked an awful lot of boxes, and I thought it was really, really enjoyable. Really enjoyable.
I think we're going to have to go for last questions now, so everybody can do.
It was 20th century when you were first approached for the role.
Yeah,
was that mentioned?
No, and that was very important to me because for me, I didn't think it was time necessarily for a new Holmes. And while I'm one of the younger of the adult Holmes, of course, we've had Nick Rowe and others do younger versions of Holmes. We've had wasn't there a gerbil Holmes or something?
Holmes,
there was a mouse or something that played Holmes.
Yeah,
Detective Mouse.
Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
Thank you. That's it. Basil the Great Mouse Detective. Very good. Man who knows his Holmes. Sorry, double question. I can't.
We'd be really
it was about the being 21st century.
Yes, so it was kind of. It was a draw initially because I thought, well, I don't want to don the deerstalker and cape and peer through the muck. I feel that it's been done so superlatively by Basil Rathbone and Jeremy Brett. That Victorian feel I thought, okay, it's gorgeous, it's wonderful, but I mean, I've done my time in costume drama as well. Not done my time, it's not a sentence. I'd gladly go back to it if the part was right. But I do choose carefully because I have a funny voice and I went to a certain school and look the way I look. So it's just that I did think there had to be a reason other than it just being Sherlock Holmes. And then immediately I thought, but fucking hell, if he's mucking around with laptops and mobile phones, it could be really cheesy. It could just be wedged in. It could just be a sort of ugly fit or an excuse to call a new detective Sherlock Holmes. And then I read the scripts and just went, bada bing, bada bing. It fit. It just completely fitted. I mean, you know, the amount of crossover from the books, the deductions, the subtle references to characters and situations that are so loyal to the original, and yet this really newly invigorated, utterly 21st century London detective it was thrilling.
Is it important then that it does get a young audience?
I would be very happy
if
I'd be really thrilled if it brought, you know, young audiences in to see it. At the same time, I'm at one point standing on a dying man's bleeding wound and screaming at him to give me a name. So that's a difficult hole to square, isn't it? Because you know, we're in a post-watershed slot as well, so it is something that has to be, I think, carefully marketed and carefully guided by parents. But I think children of a certain age have a lot worse in 12s or 15s, you know.
Quite.
So 15-year-olds aren't children anymore, but you know.
8:30, isn't it?
It is, and that's pretty dark.
Benedict has to be at the lodge.
You mentioned this twice now about the foot on the chest. Is it something you
I was
feel
just
awkward
really
about?
thrilled with the reaction. No, not at all. No, not
You think
at
like,
all.
oh, maybe that darkness.
He's an
of- is it maybe
anti-hero.
a
I mean, the
bit too
fact that you
dark?
can sit back and enjoy someone being viciously rude to mediocrity or people in his way, or just getting a situation quicker than anyone else. All that enjoyment is very, you know, it's visceral. You don't have to put yourself, and then suddenly your hero steps on a dying man's shoulder, and I love that reaction. The fact that people can't go the full way of enjoying this character, and that's really important to
You
me as
didn't
an actor to be
improvise
on the plane. Improvise that.
Why is that important? Why is that important?
Sorry.
Why is it important? Because there's an intensity and darkness to him, which is important, and it grows through the series. He's an obsessive. He's a dangerous man. They're not far off when they call him a psychopath, but he's not a psychopath. He's a sociopath, but he's an obsessive. And
He's not going to be a serial
he
killer.
inhabits a dark world of death and crime. He's not to be put on lunchboxes and made into fluffy merchandise. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, much appreciated.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Have you been to Holland?